Sing me a song of a lass that is gone.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Kaylee and we are continuing on our chapter by chapter review of the amazing book by Diana Gabaldon, Go Tell the Bees That I Am Gone. Now I just want to give a warning, we're talking about chapter 10, so if you have not read up to chapter 10 and you don't want it to be spoiled, please don't watch this video. But if you're here for all the spoilers up to chapter 10, this is the video for you. So this chapter was called Parsley, Sage, Rosemary and Thyme, and it was predominantly told by Claire. Now this was a short chapter and it was set a week after the previous chapter. So in this chapter we finally learn a little bit about the actual journey that Bree, Roger and the kids have taken. It's taken a long time to get to this point where they start to tell their story, and we learn that their trip wasn't exactly smooth sailing. So we find out that it actually took them 7 weeks and 4 days on a boat, which, oh, the thought of that back in that time period, the thought of sitting on a boat for 7 weeks. Every time a character in this story or any story goes on a boat for a long period of time, oh, I feel sick for them. Absolutely just sick for them. We know also that they had encountered 4 different storms on this boat trip. So could you imagine how just uncomfortable that would have been? Oh, yuck. But anyway, then we learn how just extremely hard it is getting for the 4 of them to come through the stones. Now, when they were talking about this, I thought to myself, this is sort of locking in that they may not return to the future, knowing that it is getting harder and harder to go back and forth, and that feeling of it took a lot longer for them to come through the stones. Then it was revealed that the only reason they all made it through and to the timeline and to the time area, or to Jamie and Claire, was because of Mandy. She was able to pinpoint Jamie, and the fact that he had been reading the book, or, you know, he had put the book in for them to read to her, but she was able to pick up on that point. And the novel, it just blew my mind that, you know, they're really going to lock in that it's going to be one or the other soon. If they do happen to go back to the future, I do believe that will be the end. I don't think that there's going to be too much more back and forthness, and I think this chapter really locked that in. It's a bit scary, because if I see them go back through the stones, I'm going to be worried that they're never coming back. And I really just want them to all be together in a happy little family. But yeah, this chapter, I think it was really telling the story that we're about to have to lock in a decision, and that's scary. A part of this chapter that really, really pulled at my heartstrings was the fact that Jamie got so emotional when they were telling the story of how they came through the stones and how much of a struggle it actually was. Now, during this, Jamie needs a moment and he has a bit of a cry, and it just absolutely broke my heart, because it's like, oh, he feels bad, or it's just, you know, they're coming to be with family and they had to leave their own time for safety, and it's like, oh, does he feel bad, or is he worried? It's like, oh, poor Jamie. I mean, poor everybody that gets upset in this book, but oh, that melted my heart. So like I said earlier, this chapter really was not a long chapter, and it really was just situated around this one conversation and finally getting to know, you know, the story of how they came back through the stones and their journey back to the ridge. So it wasn't long at all, but I really do believe there was the fact that they explained how hard it was to go through the stones, it really was pivotal information, I believe, that we'll find out later on, or it'll come into your mind if there's any more traveling. That is definitely how I felt this chapter was going. I know this chapter was also the end of part 1 of the book. So if you have read up to this chapter, I would love to know what you think so far. Have you been enjoying this book? What chapter has been your favourite? Only into the part 1 section. What chapter have you loved? And what were your favourite key moments? I can't believe we are one part of the book through already. It's a little bit scary, because it's traveling along so nicely that there hasn't been any real drama yet. It's like, oh, that means that whatever happens is going to be big and instantaneous. I know we have a lot to go. I totally get that. We have a lot of going-ons, but very shortly something bad has to happen, and I'm kind of worried for them all. But yeah, I'd love to know what your favorite chapter and your favorite part of this book has been so far. And if you have read all the way through, please don't spoil it in the comments, but I hope you have enjoyed it. And I hope for all you people that are still waiting for your pre-orders to come, I hope they arrive soon. It is shocking how many people have not received their pre-ordered books yet, and yet it is sitting on so many different bookstores' shelves. That blows my mind. Happy reading, everybody, and I'll see you very shortly for the next chapter. Have a great day, guys. Bye.
Sing me a song of a lass that is gone.